Okay, I am Simon for the last day. In 2 weeks, I'll have my front tooth back. On Saturday gone, I spoke with a 66-year-old lady who actually looks younger. The lady of the recycled old goat. And as I do sometimes, if I feel I can trust somebody, but I don't feel I can trust any English person, I wove the true tale, telling her the only thing I wanted to do, the only thing I wanted to happen, have a certain person arrive at that station. And I said to her, as I do, maybe every person you meet on the odyssey of life has something special to share. So I asked her what was her special things. How could she help me? And she said, write her a song. Write her a song. Well, I didn't have time, and I don't really have the skill for that at the moment, although I can write songs. And in fact, later that day I realised, no, the gift of what she said is that I can spin that into something that's important. Because I pondered cheating. No, it was the next day. I pondered cheating. No, be upfront. Never cheat. There's going to have to be a part 2 of this. But then this morning, only this morning, I realised what she should have said. Had she been genuinely wise. Decide what it is in her that you like. That's the first thing. And then figure out what it is in yourself that is yourself that you like, and tell her. It's as simple as that. And what's the story of Britain the last 10, 20 years? Or probably it was always. It was, I'm only looking there to see if anyone's coming by thinking I'm insane. Right, I'm not insane. I get up every morning early and everything's organised to go out and charge my batteries. Blah, blah, blah. Right. Yeah. Take the time. Time is the biggest gift. Take the time to figure why and who you are that might work. Simple as that. The story of Britain the last 10 or 20 years, yeah, we get smothered by so many goddamn irrelevant tangents. On my own particular story, if people ask me, or rather, I didn't used to, but I do now, I say, if people ask, what do you do? I just tell them, I like to spend a third of my time rebuilding. I actually spent 2 months rebuilding an old fence like that for somebody tragically lost in being British. And the rest of my time I like to write. Why don't I publish anything? Because I have been told, and I know it is true, that I can write beautifully. And this only came about following great, great tragedy. Well, I know why, and I knew why, but I've clarified that for myself. Why don't I run after getting things published? Well, apart from knowing that money never makes any difference. In fact, it just complicates things. Oh, I've found that out. I have the most joyful existence possible. Even here, stuck here. for nearly 4 weeks. I've had a magnificent 4 weeks. I hope my friend comes along soon because she needs to actually see this. Because she might get it. And she maybe does a useful ally, although it's her I want to elevate. Anyway, to try and keep to the point. Okay. You see, I don't actually actively publish anything because I know deep down what became my life's work. Well, it's life. That's the important thing. You see, I realized several things 20 years ago. First of all, if you want men to be safer, better, there's only one way. There's only one black swan event that changes people for the better. And that's for men to be around young children, particularly female ones. Therein, they live genuine respect of other people. That's what happened to me. And then I've done everything, nearly, in life. Oops, a daisy. My cough's gone. That's just right. The only thing that's really thrilling is being there enabling children to be children and sharing that with them. That's the thing that is the most beautiful thing in existence. And I know that nobody in Britain, particularly anybody in London connected with any kind of film publishing or anything like that, wants to think like that. So, I know there's no audience. Doesn't bother me in the slightest. Right, 2020. Unlike everybody else, well, I bet it was magnificent. It was magnificent to be so in debt due to 3 years plodding around trying to speak with people on Europe. I wouldn't have it any other way because my child is half European, full stop. And that dreadful landlady woman, God. To be able to subtly turn round to her and say, you know full well that I've been decent, and you stick your rents up amongst all her properties, sit on it and get a year and 2 years, a year and a half of basically no rent. Fuck you. And relaxation. I don't owe anybody anything. It was paradise and enabled me then to think about all that mattered. Maybe 2020, April 2020 may make the only person I care about ponder what next. A total and utter liberation, because that's all that matters. But then there's the bad. But the bad is a liberation too. My one cherished, special friend. For 20 years. Her boy, my daughter's first crush, 7 or 8 years after we knew them. She was even there braiding my daughter's hair. Platonic. She had a weirdo chap. When I got the call saying my father had died. Huh. Anyway, forget all that. And precisely forget her. Because she was the only one of so many mothers, parents that I've known over the years, who I thought always would be in tune with her kids. Because when I'd met her with my daughter, she was so brilliantly. To meet her in July 2020 or August, July I think it was, maybe even be June, there's me, more tanned and lithe than I've ever been. and I meet her and her kids under a tree in the park, and they were all pale, and they were just fossils. And then to hear from her, in front of her second brood, her 7 and 8-year-old, how she'd been utterly freaked when she was the outdoors van living woman, so ruddy and healthy of mind and spirit, to hear how this stupid so-called pandemic had allowed her to hide with her children, to freak her children out. I mean, I discovered later, a year later, she said she was back on the bottle, big time. That was the end. And in parallel, my one local genuine man friend, to see how him and his wife, and he should have known better, 55, wouldn't have his vaccinations or anything like that. Great, saw through that. And yet they virtually imprisoned their 3 young children in one dark, dingy room. And I would go into that room occasionally, and there the 3 of them were. Each had their own smartphone, playing games all day. To see how they did that, it was the end. And it's a liberation, a total liberation. I no longer belong at all in this society. Good for me. Why did I turn this on? What they all do, though, and everybody's done in Britain for a decade, I hope not to half-breed European women, but I'll never see them, is your story. You get smothered by all their issues, all their tangents. Even now, oh, mask, 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 Italian mask. None of this matters. There's only one thing that matters, and that's you, us, arranging our life around young children so that they can flourish and have great psychological health. And in turn, that's what we are infected with from them. That's all that matters. And keeping your act together, no matter what, such that you're able to do that for any of the children that come into your life. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. Nobody in this country can think like that. So, I look like some furtive weirdo. This is take 1. I'm going to do take 2 when I put my favourite shirt on later. Only because it needs 1 or 2 more days wearing it before it goes into the wash. The end. Is that why I turned my camera on? I'm proud of that being my life's work, even though there's no audience. Doesn't matter. That's the important thing. Right.